There we go. Bang.
Oh.
Okay.
Is this thing live?
We are live.
Oh,
We
wow.
figured it out. Oh, let me
Hello.
adjust the camera here.
Oh, perfect.
Beauty.
Wow, this is cool.
Yes, we figured it out. Hopefully it is working on your end, but let us kick off this episode. Thank you all for being here, everyone. We're going to get started right away for episode 100.
Give me one sec.
We may be having some issues with the live stream. Not sure. You know, this is our first time doing it. We will improve as we go along and figure it out from there. I'm already having some thoughts. But for now, we are going to kick off this episode. So, yeah. All right. And welcome back to another episode of the BallWatcherz podcast. I am your host, Evan Bloost, alongside my co-host, Joseph Muto. Joseph, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling incredible, man. How are you doing?
Doing great. Episode 100. We are finally back in person. Thank you so much to everyone who is joining us on the YouTube live stream right now. Like we said just a second ago, we apologize if there's any technical difficulties, but if there are technical difficulties with this episode, it will be available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts, because that's where we normally post anyways, and everything will still be posted there. We're also just going to be trying to post our stuff on YouTube. We're going to get better as the weeks go on, so just make sure that you bear with us through this trying time, I guess you could say, but also a very exciting time. You know, it's a new chapter, Joseph.
I'm so
Year
hyped.
3, we're starting now.
Wow.
Season 3 of BallWatcherz, 100 episodes of BallWatcherz. You know, this is perfect. It's perfect how it fell on the exact episode that we started this podcast with 3 seasons ago, I guess.
That's
well,
crazy.
2 seasons ago, really.
Yeah.
With our Week 1 preview. That's right, guys. NFL Week 1 is just around the corner. It is a time to celebrate for many reasons. As we will be on this episode, we're going to pop the champagne real quick. So
Wow.
this is why you want to be on the live stream. Watch this later if you want, but it will be on our YouTube. Follow it, by the way, at BallWatcherz on YouTube. The link is also in our bio on Instagram. It's not working. I don't know. You can't really find it on YouTube for whatever reason. They're trying to silence the most elite sports content in the game here, but we're going to go ahead and grab the champagne, the Prosecco, actually.
Yes.
Got to support the Italians when you can.
Of course.
But yeah, we're going to pop the champagne here, and then we're going to dive into this episode.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Joseph, do you have
Look
any
at this.
favorite episodes or moments that you want to go through while
Oh,
I
man.
figure out how to open this bottle?
The Josh Allen episode is obviously
Yes,
one of my
that's gotta be
favorites.
number one for
That's
me.
number one. And then the time we had on Parker, and it wasn't even NFL related. We talked about like Florida State versus Alabama. I think that was my favorite debate on who should have been in the playoffs. And you were hell bent on Florida State, and we were Alabama, and that was probably one of the funnest debates I've had on the show.
Yeah, that was good too. We had a lovely time trying to determine or critiquing the college football playoffs. That was a good argument as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's been some good times. I think, man, I feel like some of the off-season episodes, the Josh Allen episode was obviously great. I think some of those playoff episodes were also fantastic. Let's get a good pop here for the camera. Oh. Woo. There we go. That was
Oh,
electric.
boy.
Oh.
Incredible.
Only spilled a little bit
Incredible.
of that on myself. All right, we're just pouring up our Prosecco here,
Awesome,
and
dude.
then we'll get right into it. We've got a lot on the docket today. I mean, we had the biggest story in a while in the NFL here with
Thank you.
Micah Parsons getting traded from the Dallas Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers within the conference. He stays in the NFC, but a deal finally gets done. Micah Parsons goes to the Packers. The Cowboys receive two first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark in this deal. Jerry Jones said a lot about this trade in the media over the last couple weeks, just the possibility of this trade happening, and we see now that Micah Parsons gets traded. The Cowboys get a pretty decent haul in return, but is this an absolute mess for the Cowboys, Joseph?
No. And because they were already in a mess. And everyone is going to say, oh, Jerry's an idiot. And I agree with that to a certain extent. But for this trade and for the situation that the Cowboys found themselves in, it was a perfect deal. Because, I mean, I said it all the way in last offseason. I said it back in July or April of 2024. And I said, Jerry Jones has to pick 2 out of the 3, CD, Dak, or Micah. He can't have all 3 because if you had all 3, you're going to take up over 50% of your salary cap, which is absolutely ridiculous when you have to put together a 53-man roster. Now, I thought they should have canceled out Dak because at the end of the day, he's an older quarterback. You already know what you're going to get from him in the playoffs, and it hasn't worked so far. But with Micah, I think Jerry Jones laid his bed, and at the end of the day, Micah's camp knows what they talked about behind closed doors. Jerry's camp knows what they talked about, and God, and that's it. And we don't know the whole extent of those contract issues, but from a football perspective, it was a really good move for the Cowboys because at the end of the day, you look at last year, Micah Parsons is a phenomenal individual talent, but your defense was still so bad. You were dead last against the run. You couldn't stop the run for nothing. Your passing defense was absolutely terrible. You also couldn't run the football at all. So there are a lot of holes to fix that Micah Parsons cannot fix all by himself in one fall swoop. So they got a return. At the end of the day, you're either winning the Super Bowl to me or you're getting the first overall pick. You never want to be in the middle. And I feel like the Cowboys were in the middle because they're the third best team with Micah Parsons in their division. You're not winning the division. You're worse than the Commanders. And then you're vouching for a wild card spot. The Vikings are going to get it over you. The Packers are going to get it over you. The 49ers are going to get it over you. The Seahawks are going to get it. Like, the list goes on. So they weren't going to make the playoffs at all because, I mean, if you look at a team with a great quarterback, 2 great wide receivers, and a great individual defensive end, that's exactly what the Bengals were last year. They didn't make the playoffs. So that formula doesn't work. I love that they traded him away because you get 2 first-round picks. You're going to get a high first-round pick with your own first-round pick because you're tanking. Your team is bad, and I think that's a good thing because if you kept Micah Parsons, paid him $47 million, you would have been right in the middle just like you have been for the last 5-10 years maybe since Dak Prescott has been there for your franchise. So all said and done, I think Jerry Jones actually made the right decision by moving on from Micah Parsons. His media antics are still going to piss a lot of people off, but at the end of the day, I think this was, for the moment, the right move that the Cowboys needed to make in order to tank and get a better draft pick.
Yeah, I don't hate the move on the surface. I don't think that moving Micah Parsons in a vacuum was a terrible decision. I just think overall this situation was handled so incredibly poorly by Jerry Jones. And I mean, the thing is, I feel like we know this with Jerry Jones at this point, is just that the only thing that this guy cares about is being in the spotlight, the Cowboys, mostly him, being in the spotlight and being the center of attention. And that's kind of what he used this Micah Parsons trade and the rumors surrounding it as, is just fodder for him to be the center of attention. I mean, you look at when this trade goes down, it's right before the season, right before they play the Eagles on Thursday Night Football, which has been talked about by other creators just on the timing, but it is just insane with that. I mean, he is just a guy who wanted to be in the center of attention, and this rumor mill around Micah Parsons kept Jerry Jones in the center of attention the entire back half of this offseason, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, I think he did a terrible job addressing the media about this. His reasoning for why he was skeptical on signing Micah Parsons made absolutely no sense. He was calling him injury prone. He was talking about how other other players on the team that he signed, he regretted signing, like CeeDee Lamb, I believe, and some other players that he signed, he felt like too early, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, yes, they have issues with this team, and Micah Parsons is not a guy who can solve them all, and they have these high paid players at other positions in CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, but it's just ridiculous to use this trade to just kind of stroke your own ego, and you get a good haul in return. But I mean, Kenny Clark is a guy who is a solid interior defender, which the Cowboys needed, but he is not anywhere close to the level of Micah Parsons. And you get 2 first-round picks, but they're going to be late first-round picks, and that requires you actually hitting on those draft picks, which the Cowboys, to give them credit, have been quite good at hitting on first-round picks, but it's still extra, like, chance that they're leaving this up to in order to save this franchise. You still have Dak under contract for a few more years. You still have CD. They're not in a position to really go into a full rebuild at this point, in my opinion. I guess Dak's not under contract after next season.
He's got 3 years left.
3 years left. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not really in a position to move forward and rebuild when you still have a guy in Dak who's in his, like, just about in his 30s here, under center. You have CeeDee Lamb, who is in his 20s still, but is hitting that veteran age, hitting that peak of his prime over the next few seasons here. Like, you're not in a position to rebuild, and they just managed this team horribly. And I think that this is more just a testament to how horribly they managed this team, that they couldn't afford to pay what was the best player on their roster. And he goes in division or in conference to the Packers, which is just absolutely wild to me.
Yeah, let's talk about these Packers, man, because this is the real storyline to me. Jerry's going to make a bunch of headlines, and I think there was a stat that a reporter asked him one question, and he took 11 minutes to answer that question.
Sounds about right.
It was ridiculous. But these Packers, man, this is a legit team, and this is exactly what they need to do. They're all in. They're the first team in NFL history to have $250 million players on their roster with Jordan Love and Micah Parsons. And over the next 4 years, it's they're going to be a very scary team. He gets $47 million a year. That super exceeds T.J. Watt's $41 million a year, making him the highest non-paid NFL quarterback. He's getting paid more than Mahomes, who's getting only paid $45 million. It's ridiculous. It's well deserved because of his because of his youth and the talent that he has. But on paper, like I said it last week on the show, that this was already an elite defense. But you bring in Micah Parsons to be your true number one alpha dog defensive end. Not a lot of teams have that, especially with guys who are wanting to be Super Bowl caliber teams, and that's exactly what the Packers were before Micah, and now that's exactly what they are right now, and they should be one of the favorites in the NFC, if not the entire NFL, and it just fits their identity. They have an incredible defensive line, and if you have an incredible defensive line, you can get away with some blemishes that you have in the secondary, which the Packers do, and within inside linebacker, which also I think the Packers do. So they have some woes there, but you have Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary as your 2 starting edge rushers. That's incredible. You can take Lucas Van Ness, put him off the bench as your 3rd stringer. And then Devontae Wyatt, I think, fills that role for Kenny Clark, that what he was doing last year so beautifully. He's more of a pass rusher than Kenny Clark is. He has more upside. He's younger. I really like Devontae Wyatt in this defense. So that defensive line alone is incredible. And Micah Parsons is going to get help like he's never had before. He's had a little bit of DeMarcus Lawrence, but nothing like a guy like a Rashawn Gary or Devontae Wyatt. So I love this defense, and it just fits the identity of this team. This passing attack for the Packers is questionable because they don't have a true alpha wide receiver one, in my opinion. So they just want to gun the football with Josh Jacobs, who's their best offensive player, run the football, bleed out the clock, and play great defense. That's exactly what the Eagles did last year. It's a recipe to win the Super Bowl, and I think the Packers have that formula down packed with this trade. They're all in, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about in the preview show, or I talked about specifically in this preview show, how I didn't see much fight on that Packers defense, especially in their front 7, and I think that this is exactly the kind of move that changes my mind on something like that. I mean, Micah Parsons is just an absolute beast. He's so versatile. He can be played basically all over the line. I think this is a guy who can line up anywhere. He's great at the point of attack. His arms are super long. He's able to get off defenders. He's great in run defense. He's a fantastic pass rusher. He's a guy who can and has experience playing off the ball. You can really do a lot of things with him. I think that, I mean, we kind of glossed over it in the moment just because we were kind of moving through it. But like Lucas Van Ness is not that good of a pass rusher. He has not lived up to that first round hype yet, with only 7 sacks in his first 2 years. So you get a guy across from Rashawn Gary who's pretty much a reliable, if he can stay healthy, 10-sack-a-year guy, and you put Micah Parsons, who's perfectly capable of eclipsing that 20 sacks in a year number. So I think that you have created a incredible defensive line, and I really like what you said about Kenny Clark, because it's just Devonte Wyatt plays a very similar role in that defense. He's going to be the guy playing up the middle, getting in those gaps. He's not necessarily a super like high-level pass rush or anything like that, but he's going to fill gaps. He's going to demand double teams in a lot of situations on the interior, and that just frees up your edge rushers to get those one-on-one positions. I think Lucas Van Ness is also a guy who can be a 3 technique. He's just big and strong and can sit in the middle of that defense. So there's a guy, you can still get him on the field with Micah Parsons. I mean, you're also going to be able to like disguise your rushes and things like that with Micah Parsons. So I really love this trade for the Packers. This gives their defense some juice, and I think it definitely jumps them into that top tier of contenders in the NFL, where they weren't last week when we went through this trade, when we went through these record predictions.
So do you think they're the best team in the NFC, or where would you rank them?
I still think I have the Lions above them just because we've seen what the Lions can do, and I think that the Lions are still the top of the league, creme de la creme team here. But, I mean, the Packers are a close second. I still think the Lions will win this division, but I don't think, like, it is so close. I think it's a pretty much a 50-50 between the Packers and the Lions now to win this division. The Lions are in the running to win 13 games, I'd say, this year. Same with the Lions, around that range. So it's going to be neck and neck all the way between these two teams.
Yeah, I'd take the Lions too, because Aiden Hutchinson is still in that tier of Micah Parsons to me.
Exactly.
Or he's on that trajectory. So very similar defenses, and offensively, I think the Lions can pass the ball a lot better than the Packers can. So.
Right, and Micah Parsons is dealing with an injury right now. He has a sprain in his lower back to his spine, where that could really cause some issues. From the videos I've watched and stuff on it, it seems that he will, like, they're giving him some painkillers now that can last a few weeks to a few months, but at the same time, we need to see how this injury heals and progresses down the stretch to see if Micah Parsons can truly be in tip-top shape come the end of the season, and especially going into the playoffs, because that's what really matters for Matt LaFleur and this Packers team, is what they get done when you get to January. So a great move by the Packers. I don't think that like the value they gave up for Micah Parsons was totally warranted. They also signed him to a massive contract, but I don't think anyone was surprised by that. He reset the pass rusher market. In my opinion, I was shocked at how much he got. He reset it by like $5 million or something, which is pretty insane, but he deserved the contract. It's no surprise he got that contract. So overall, just a great A-plus deal for the Packers, and we'll see what happens with the Cowboys. What would you give the Cowboys on this deal?
A-plus. Easy.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I just think they had to. And I've been a big advocate that Micah Parsons had to be traded. So, I mean, you're better than the Bengals for, like, not prolonging the Trey Hendrickson thing. You didn't prolong this as long as that one, so I love it because you're either tanking or you're going all in, and the Cowboys were neither, so this just shows me that they're tanking, which is a good sign.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I think that I'd give it, a B+. I think that you're just losing a top player, and I don't think that necessarily, in this case especially when he's so young and didn't really want to leave the Cowboys necessarily, warrants an A+, but it's definitely not a loss for this Cowboys team, although I think it is a disappointment for Dallas and their fans more than anything. I don't think any of the fans want to see this happen, and especially when you pair that with the Nico Harrison, Luka Doncic debacle a few months ago. It's been a rough few weeks in Dallas, or a few months, I guess, in Dallas.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to what you all really came for here, our predictions for Week 1. We're going to go through every single game as we do every year in Week 1. Obviously, we will not be keeping up with this all season. Starting in Week 2, we'll give you we'll recap the most interesting games from week 1, and we will preview the most interesting games for week 2. And we're coming back this year again with our hardballs lock of the week. So we're going to make sure to track it a lot better this time. I think we'll come up with some sort of punishment or prize for the winner or loser. We'll see what happens, but we're going to track it a lot better this year and kick it off at the end of this episode. But yeah, let's get right into it, Joseph. Speaking of the Cowboys, they play the Eagles tomorrow on Thursday Night Football. Wow. Who you got?
I got the Eagles. There's no chance the Cowboys can win this game because it's tough. I mean, you're expecting Kenny Clark to basically just stop the run the entire way, and you can't ask one man who just came into your building a couple days ago to stop the Saquon Barkley and this incredible Eagles offense. So it's a lot to ask of Kenny Clark. They don't have anything else to stop the run besides Kenny Clark, and he's a little bit older, so they're just going to run the ball down the Cowboys' throats. It's going to be Dak Prescott sitting on the sidelines for 10 minutes at a time because those drives are going to just take forever. And Dak plays terribly against the Eagles in Philadelphia. Those fans are so hostile. They're going to be even more hostile because it's banner night, even though the Eagles won't be on the field for banner night. I think that's actually really cool by Sirianni and his staff to do that. But it's just you're asking Dak Prescott to put this entire team on his back to put up 30 points, which the Eagles can easily do, but you're asking him to put up 30 points with limited amount of time because the Eagles are going to hold on to the ball for so long. So time of possession is going to kill the Cowboys. This defense is going to get worn down, and I just love the fact that the Eagles are on their home turf. They have the best run game in the entire NFL, and they're going up against a terrible run game in the Cowboys. They can't stop a train from the run. So I'm taking the Eagles very comfortably, and it should be an easy win for them.
Yeah, I've got the Eagles as well. I want to start this off, man. I was on Bet365 today. Don't want to promote sports gambling, but it's fun to do, I think, in very small amounts if you know you're going to lose money. Don't try to make money off sports gambling. Just do it for fun. Bet $1. But they had the Eagles beating the Cowboys with some sort of promo they're running 2 times odds. So you'll make twice your money if you win. So just saying, that seems like a lock to me. Quick double your money hack. Obviously, don't spend your house on it. Don't spend your life savings. But, maybe drop a couple bucks. Maybe get yourself a couple extra coffees this week or something. But, yeah, it's insane. The Eagles are going to destroy the Cowboys this week. I mean, losing Micah Parsons, they were going to destroy the Cowboys before they lost Micah Parsons. And now you have nothing on this defense. They're going to be able to run the ball inside, outside, wherever they want. Jalen Hurts is barely going to have to throw the football in this game. I think that the Eagles definitely want to get back to making Jalen Hurts throw the football a bit more. We talked about it a bit, how they're going to want to get that passing game going during the season in order to make sure that Jalen Hurts and that passing game is right in the playoffs, because we saw it struggle at times for sure during the season and even in the playoffs. But I don't know if they start in this game because this Cowboys defense is just so weak. And I mean, if anything, their strengths are at their corner positions. I'm not a huge fan of either Diggs or Deron Bland, but they are probably the 2 best players on this defense at this point. And I think that the Eagles are just going to dominate the Cowboys. This is a division game. This is the first game of the season. They're going to want to set the tone for the season, send a message to the rest of the league coming off that Super Bowl victory, and they're just going to absolutely steamroll the Cowboys with that new Super Bowl banner hanging from the rafters, because the Cowboys just aren't going to be able to keep up. Even offensively, I think the Cowboys still have juice. I like what the Cowboys have done. Their offensive line should be pretty solid this year. I think Dak's going to have a pretty solid season, but this Eagles defense is still strong. It may not be as strong as it was last year just because it's hard to keep up that high level of defense year to year, but at the same time, it's still good enough. They're going to get some stops. They'll probably make some plays, get some turnovers, and the Eagles just are going to have nothing stopping them offensively. So it's going to be a bit of a blowout, I think. I think this game's going to be over pretty early, and the Eagles are going to roll to 1-0.
Yeah, man. Fun.
All right, next game here, we've got the Friday night game. We have Friday night football this week, Joseph.
Wow.
4 days of football in week 1. What more could you want?
Mm-hmm.
It's in Brazil. another divisional game, the Chiefs versus the Chargers.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I'm watching the halftime show, man. I love Karol G. I'm a big fan, so I'll be watching for sure. But Chiefs all the way in this game. I just think the Chargers have too many things to work out, specifically offensively. Like, Najee Harris is supposed to start week 1. He's been injured all of training camp. How are they going to split the workload between him and Amarian Hampton? That's a storyline to look at. Joe Alt playing left tackle for the first time in the NFL. How is that going to go, replacing Rashawn Slater at that position? And then Ladd McConkey being a true number 1 and Trent McDuffie following him because he's a great slot corner as well as an outside corner. How is that going to work for this offense? And is Justin Herbert going to get a lot of pressure in his face because of that right side being so vacant with Joe Alt having to move to left? So there's a lot of moving parts for this Chargers team that I just don't think that they're going to work out week 1. I think the Chiefs are battle tested. They have so much chemistry that they already know what the hell's going on. They're going to hit the ground running. And I think this is going to be a slugfest. This is going to be a defensive game. But I just trust Mahomes in those 2-minute drives more so than Justin Herbert, who's still working out the kinks of this slightly different offense from last year. So I'm taking the Chiefs very comfortably, and I think that they're going to pull off a win in a dogfest.
Yeah, man, this is a celebration for the Chiefs. I mean, their brother Travis Kelce got engaged. We didn't get to talk about it on the podcast yet, but congratulations to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. That's all we'll cover on the topic, but I think this game will be closer than people think, just because I think that both these teams are boring, defense first, run the football style teams, and I think that we're going to see a bit of a different Chiefs offense for sure. They've talked about throwing the ball deep. They have a few more weapons. I mean, you have Rashee Rice in this game, which I think is huge for the Chiefs, so I think we'll see a bit of a different style of Chiefs offense, but at the same time, these teams have clear identities from last season, and I don't think that fully changes in week 1 at the very least. And I mean, this Chiefs team can change a bit, but at the same time, that is their identity, and I think that's the way they're going to best win footballs, is just be that boring defense first, run the football kind of team. So I think that the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a bit closer than people think, just because both teams are going to be incredibly conservative for the most part throughout this game. But like you said, Joseph, these Chiefs are battle-tested. The Chargers have had a bit of turnover throughout this offseason. We need to see what they look like defensively. Without Joey Bosa, who hasn't played a lot, but Tui Tuipulotu stepping into a full-time starting role is new for this defense. Their cornerback situation, I think, is a bit up in the air. I mean, no one signed Asante Samuel yet, and that was basically their number 1 corner last year. And yeah, offensively, we don't really know what's going on with the running back room at this point, and then you got to see what's going on with the receivers here. I mean, you have Ladd McConkey, but what's Keenan Allen going to be like this season? Who is at number 2 and number 3 on this team? So I think this offense is just going to get off to a bit of a slow start in this game, and they'll keep it close, but the Chiefs probably will get the lead early, and they won't give it up just because that defense is still stellar. So I got the Chiefs in this one as well. Yeah. All right, next up, we've got Joseph's Steelers against the Jets. One of the early morning, my Jets, I guess. Kind of my pet team, one of my pet teams this season. But we're going to New York early this year, Joseph. Who you got in this game?
I've got the Steelers very comfortably. Aaron Rodgers is a bad man, and this game he's going to be a madman, and he's going to be pissed off. Aaron Glenn did him so dirty in the offseason. We all expected him to move on from the Jets, but they made him take a private flight to New York just to cut him. He's pissed. And I think he's going to have something to prove. I don't think he likes those Jets fans. He's going to go into MetLife and just absolutely ball offensively. He's going to use DK in a big way. And I think Sauce Gardner might get a little bit exposed in this game, and they're going to run the football quite nicely. And then on the other side of the football, it's like, I don't trust those running backs for nothing. I don't trust Breece Hall. I don't trust Braylon Allen specifically at the beginning of the year. Maybe one of them gets off to a hotter start towards the end, but for week 1, I just don't think there's a true number 1 running back. And then Justin Fields is going to have his hands full with the secondary. Everywhere you turn, there are coverage galore. Garrett Wilson is going to be blanketed by either Joey Porter or Jalen Ramsey. One of the two, we don't know yet. Probably Jalen Ramsey because of seniority. And then they're going to try and get Mason Taylor involved, but Peyton Wilson is such a great cover linebacker that it's going to be really hard. So when you take away Garrett Wilson, when you take away Mason Taylor, and I don't trust this run game, I think that this offense is going to be hit at a stall. You have a first-time offensive coordinator there, and Justin Fields, who is supposed to be that guy. It's going to be really, really tough for the Jets to get anything going offensively, and I think Aaron Rodgers is just too motivated for him to have a bad game. So he's going to have an excellent game, and I think that the Steelers are going to blow the socks off of the Jets in Week 1.
I've got the Jets in this one, man. I mean, I got to roll with my pet team here. I'm skeptical of the Steelers. I mean, I'm going off my 9-8 prediction here, but I just don't know how functional this offense is going to be Week 1. I mean, you went into the season feeling very good about what this team was going to look like when George Pickens, DK Metcalf were on opposite sides, but you lose George Pickens to that trade, and you don't really have anything to replace him. You don't know what you have in Roman Wilson. You don't even know if he's going to play in this game. Calvin Austin, like we've talked about many times, is pretty much purely a gadget player. And then on top of that, you have, I don't know what's going on with this run game. The offensive line should be pretty solid. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to look like in this offense. I think he might get really frustrated early. Arthur Smith runs a very strange offense that I don't know if it really fits with Aaron Rodgers and what he likes to do, because he's much more of a run-first kind of guy, and I think Aaron Rodgers just wants to sling that football. So I don't trust the Steelers' offense. I think the Steelers' defense is really solid. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, but I trust Justin Fields to just manage this offense, be able to get some yards with his legs. He might not be flashy. He might not make a lot of super high-level plays in this game, but I also think that he'll be able to take care of the football. I really trust what Aaron Glenn's building. I really think as well this Jets defense is going to be fantastic this season. I've talked about it before. I think Aaron Glenn brings the juice. I really like what they have up front on that defensive line, starting with Quinn and Williams. They have one of the best linebackering duos in the league, in my opinion, with Jamie Sherwood and Quincy Williams. And I think Sauce Gardner is getting to the point where he's underrated and people just want to hate on him. So I think he's going to lock up DK Metcalf in this game. Rodgers isn't going to have anywhere to go with the football, and the Jets squeeze out a close one. Mm-hmm. All right, next up on the docket here, we've got the Buccaneers and the Falcons, a divisional rematch from last season. Obviously, they played twice, but amazing games last season, just absolute fireworks. The Falcons managed to win both of those games over the Buccaneers, who could have had a pretty insane record if they'd beaten the Falcons both times in these incredibly close games. I think one went to overtime and one was down to the last second, down to the wire. So some crazy matchups from last year, but it looks a bit different with Michael Penix starting for this Falcons team. They added 2 new edge rushers in the first round. The Buccaneers, pretty much the same, but they are going to be missing Tristan Wirfs off the bat here, I believe, this season. So we're going to have to see what this Tampa Bay offense looks like without Liam Cohen as well. Joseph, who do you have?
I got the Buccaneers here. It's a tough matchup. I actually really like both of these teams going into this season, but at the end of the day, it's Baker, and I trust him a little bit more than Michael Penix. Michael Penix is going to be a first-time Week 1 starter, and I want to see him just progress throughout the entirety of the season, make some mistakes, learn from his mistakes, and see how he comes out at the end of the season. And I think some of those mistakes are going to come, and I think Todd Bowles is just a veteran coach who can just get the best out of his defense and make Michael Penix make some mistakes. I think he's going to force the ball a little bit to Kyle Pitts, to Drake London. I don't think they're going to use the run game as much with Bijan, because I just think that, or Bijan, sorry, he likes to be called Bijan, not Bijan anymore, but I just think the Buccaneers are going to put up so many points because the secondary is absolutely trash for Atlanta. They're going to use Mike Evans. They're going to use Ekbuka. Cade Otton's going to have a big role in the middle of the field this game. And I just think that they're just going to keep putting points up and keep putting points up. And Michael Penix can keep up with them to an extent. And I think Michael Penix is a little bit wet behind the ears. He's going to try and force some balls into precarious situations and get a couple turnovers. So because of that, I just trust the Buccaneers in high-scoring games, in more leverage games. Against those Falcons last year, that's when Kirk Cousins was in the game, and he was balling out, and he was making big-time throws.
The only games where he did, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to see Penix in those situations going up against a guy like Baker. It's just going to be a battle of the quarterbacks, and I trust the veteran presence of Baker more so than Penix in this game.
Right. I've got the Buccaneers as well. I think that I don't trust the Buccaneers defense, but I do think it is about as bad as the Falcons. And like you said, that Falcons offense is just young. They're still figuring things out, and I don't think they have it quite yet in week one. I think the Bucs are a better team. They're still going to have a good offense. I really like Bucky Irving. I love Mike Evans. Egbuka is going to be huge right off the bat, I think, in this game. And the Buccaneers offense is just going to roll throughout this entire game. I don't really trust Jalen Walker and James Pierce to make a huge impact in game one here. Baker Mayfield's going to have time to throw. He's going to make some huge plays, and I just think that the Falcons, like you said, that offense just isn't quite ready yet. They're not going to keep up, and I think that, I just don't trust this Falcons defense at all. I really don't like what I've seen from them over the last couple years. I don't like James Pierce Jr. at all as a prospect. I really like Jalen Walker, but it's week one. These rookies need a bit of time to develop a lot of the time, so give me the Buccaneers week one. They're just going to be on point, firing at all cylinders. They're all veterans on that team pretty much, and they're going to be able to get the win week one. Nice. All right, next up, we've got the Dolphins versus the Colts, Joseph.
I've got the Dolphins, surprisingly. I know I've sung the praise of the Colts the entire offseason. I know. But the Dolphins, week one, they're in an indoor stadium, so they're not battling the elements. And I just think that everyone's healthy for now. And at the beginning of the season, the Dolphins look like the 73 Dolphins, where they're going to go 18-0 or something crazy like that. So they look good at the beginning of the season every single year, and I don't think that's going to stop. They have Devon Achane healthy for week one. Darren Waller is going to play week one. Tua has all of his weapons available to him. He's fully healthy. He's coming off an off season where he hasn't played a lot of contact football yet. So I just trust the Dolphins, and I think that they can outscore the Indianapolis Colts, who I think will take time to develop this offense with Daniel Jones now at the helm. It's going to take some time for the Colts. As much as I've sung their praise, with a new quarterback, it's always going to take some time. I think the first couple weeks are going to have some training wheels that Shane Steichen's going to put on. They're going to run the football a lot more. But with Tua putting up as many points, they're going to have to, detach themselves from the running game, and I think because of that, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones to start out. So I'm taking the Dolphins in this game. I know the Colts have a better defense, but I just don't think it's a match for a week one Dolphins offense.
Yeah, I've got the Colts in this one, man. I just hate this Dolphins team so much. I don't really care if their offense may be at full health here, and we might see some of that vintage Mike McDonald craftsmanship. I just think that defense is horrendous. I don't really see how they're going to be able to stop the Colts at all. I think that Daniel Jones is not really going to have to do that much in this game to succeed. I think that they're going to be able to run the football a ton with Jonathan Taylor in this game. They're going to be able to control the clock, control time of possession, and you're going to be asking Jones to do the minimum to win this football game. I think the Colts defense is much improved from last year. We talked about some of those signings. Cam Bynum, for one, in that secondary. I think that they're going to be able to get some stops on this Miami Dolphins offense. And if they can do that, they're going to be able to control the clock. They're going to be able to put up some points on the ground, keep the ball away from this Dolphins offense, and they're going to be able to win this game because I just really hate what I see from the Dolphins, especially on the defensive side of the football. They got Minkah Fitzpatrick back, but outside of that, I don't really like anything I see. Jalen Phillips, again, he's healthy right now, but I don't know. I'm just not sold on this Dolphins team. I think they lose week one. I think they're going to be under pressure early this season. They're going to have to make some magic happen if Mike McDaniel wants to keep his job. So I've got the Colts week one here. I think that this is going to be a big game on the ground, and we're going to see the Dolphins disappointed after week one. Mm-hmm. All right, next up, we've got the Panthers versus the Jaguars, Joseph.
I got the Panthers very easily. I think both defenses are absolutely terrible, but I trust the Panthers offense a little bit more than I trust the Jaguars. I think they're still up in the air on how to use Travis Hunter in this game. Will he be a big factor offensively? We don't know. And it's just, you have Dave Canales, who's been there a second year. You have Bryce Young using Tet McMillan, who no one can guard up on Tet McMillan on this Jaguar secondary. But for Brian Thomas Jr., you have a J.C. Horn locking him up. So I think there's little differences like that. And in the run game, no one can really stop the run game for Jacksonville. but Derek Brown can be a presence in the run game for the Panthers. So it's moments like that where I think the Panthers have a slightly better defense, and maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars have flashier names offensively, but not by a whole lot. I think it's going to be all for naught, and I think Dave Canales is a better offensive coordinator than Liam Cohen was. It's going to be a battle of the offensive coordinators for the Buccaneers in this game, and I trust Dave Canales to get the best out of Bryce Young, and I think the pressure is going to be too much for Trevor Lawrence to pull out a win at home.
Yeah, I've got the Panthers as well in this game. I think that you're just going to see the slightly more experienced offense come together and win this game in the Panthers. They've been together an extra year under Dave Canales versus the Jaguars, who are just getting to the first game with Liam Cohen. It's definitely going to be a bit more complex of an offense. I think that this Jaguars team is going to hit the ground running pretty quick this year, but I just think that the Panthers have it in the bag in week one. I really like the strides we saw from Bryce Young at the end of this season. His ability to avoid pressure is really impressive, and I think we're going to see that in this game. He has a big target that he can throw to downfield. I really like his other options at receiver. Hunter Renfrow in the slot I like as just a safety valve. And then over on the other side, you have Leggett, who needs to prove himself, but I think he can be a reliable number 2 or number 3 option in that receiving game. And then you have a very reliable ground game with Chuba Hubbard. That Jaguars run game is still something we have to question. Their offensive line is not as good as Carolina's, and I think that cohesiveness on offense, that extra year together, is going to give them this win this year. The Jaguars are going to have to figure it out week by week, but I think that they figure it out eventually, but the Panthers win this first week.
Yeah.
All right, next up, the Giants versus the Commanders. We've got a lot of divisional games this week, Joseph.
I know. It'll be fun week one to see all these divisional matchups and these rivalries, but I reluctantly have the Commanders. I really wanted to pick the Giants, but it's just like the Commanders are coming off such a high and the Giants are coming off such a low that week one, I think Jaden Daniels is going to be in peak form, and I think the Giants have a better roster than the Commanders, but nowhere near the type of quarterback play that the Commanders do. I still think that this check-down college-style offense that Cliff Kingsbury is running is still going to work. I think Austin Eckler is going to have a big game in the passing game.
Oh, God.
I know, and I think Debo is going to find a way to get some yak against this secondary who's quite young. So I trust the Commanders just because of Jaden Daniels. I really want to pick the Giants. I don't know why I picked the Commanders, but to start out, I'm going to hold my horses on the Giants train a little bit. I'll take the Commanders, and week one, if it wasn't week one, I'd take the Giants, but week one, coming off the high that the Commanders just had, they're at home, I'll take the Commanders in this game.
Joseph, some of the words that came out of your mouth really shocked me. I mean, Debo Samuel, come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
But for me, I've got the Giants in this game. I'm not holding my horses on the Giants. I think Mr. Unlimited goes out there and balls in week one. I mean, he played really well with the Steelers last year. I think that he really proved people wrong in a lot of ways compared to his Broncos tenure. That offense just worked better. I really like Brian Daboll as a head coach. I think that he is a lot better than some people think, especially just as an offensive mind. I think he's going to make a scheme that really works for Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson has become a guy who plays to the scheme around him, and Daboll is a guy who has a very good scheme. You have an elite number 1 receiver in Malik Neighbors. I think that run game is actually going to be really solid. And on the other side of the ball, I just do not trust this Commanders defense at all. I know they figured it out last year, and maybe Dan Quinn deserves more credit and is really this defensive mastermind, because if he can make this defense even average, honestly, I'm going to be so impressed. They have nothing going for them on that side of the ball. I think that the Giants are just going to be able to score points at will in this game. Wilson's a guy who's accurate, especially deep down the field, and I think that that's a weakness, especially in this Commanders defense where they don't really have corner depth and really a number 1 corner. I don't know. I'm skeptical on Marshawn Lattimore's ability as a cornerback 1 at this point. Trey Amos hasn't played a snap of NFL football yet, so I think they're going to be able to exploit the deep areas of the field, especially with Malik Neighbors. I really like Darius Slayton as a number 2 wide receiver as well. I think there's going to be some deep balls in this game, and I trust the Giants' defense, honestly. Their defense, especially up front, is nasty. The Commanders added Laramie Tunsil, but I think that there's just 3 or 4 guys on this defensive front, 3 guys specifically that can cause damage, and Laramie Tunsil does not play 3 different positions on this offensive line. So I think they're going to get after Jaden Daniels. He's going to have to make plays with his legs if they're going to win this game, but there's going to be some sticky coverage downfield. And if they can't throw to Terry McLaurin, I don't know if anyone's going to be open on this team. So I think the Giants have got this in week 1. I'm high on them right out the gate, man.
I really hope so.
All right, next up, we've got Cardinals at Saints. Maybe the most anticipated game of week 1, Joseph.
Wow, I'm shaking in my boots for this one.
I can't wait, man.
I got the Cardinals. I only had the Saints winning 2 games, and this was not one of them. It's just the Cardinals, to me, I'll say it again, will have a top 10 defense in the NFL. It's going to ruin the crap out of Spencer Rattler in his week 1 start. I think Jonathan Gannon has a disguised plan that will make him see double Spencer Rattler will. And offensively, I think Kyler Murray has been extremely disappointing throughout his entire career, but this game, I think he's too talented to not have a big-time game in the air and on the ground. The Cardinals can do whatever they want. I mean, Trey McBride, you want to use him in the middle of the field. You want to use Marvin Harrison in the deep ball. You want to run the football with James Conner. You want to use read option. You want to use Trey Benson out of the backfield. You can do anything against the Saints defense. It's old. It's slow. There's not a lot of depth on this team. There's not a lot of talent on this team, specifically defensively. And I think Kyler Murray's just going to take advantage of that. He might be the QB1 in fantasy this year, which I really, Evan really hopes so.
I'm praying for that, man.
Yeah,
Holy.
but I think Kyler Murray's absolutely going to ball out, and I think this defense is going to show that they're an elite defense. Yes, they're going up against a really bad offense week 1, but they're going to show their stuff, and they're going to get a lot of sacks, a lot of turnovers in this game. It's going to be a blowout for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I've got the Cards too. We're both incredibly down on the Saints. I don't like them in almost any game. I think I gave them 1 win out of pity near the end of the season, but I just don't have any faith in this team. They don't have any, I don't know, you're saying specifically defensively, but they just don't have any talent on either side of the ball in this offense. I mean, I don't trust Spencer Rattler one bit. I think Will Johnson has shown up in camp and proven he's a number 1 corner. I think that he's going to be able to lock down Chris Olave in this game. That's a guy he's familiar with playing as well. I believe they played at least once or against each other at least once in college. But it's just, actually maybe they didn't. Anyways, I just do not trust this Saints team in any regard. I don't trust that offensive line to be that good. The Cardinals made moves to upgrade that pass rushing position. They have a first-round pick in Darius Robinson in the middle who didn't play that much last year. I don't think Walter Nolan's playing in this game, but you also add Josh Sweat. I think they're going to be able to disrupt the passer in this game, make plays in